We all know a sworn brother of the Night's Watch is never supposed to lay with any woman, but of course shit happens, and that's how our favorite old creep was born. We don't know all the details, like his parents' names, but his father, who was in the Night's Watch, came across a wildling woman beyond the wall and slept with her. She was from one of the few villages in this icy wasteland called Whitetree. Craster's life didn't start off in the most preferred circumstances. His father was long gone. He had no plans on abandoning his duty for this wildling girl. He was out of there the moment Craster was conceived. It doesn't seem like any of the parents wanted to raise the baby, because when the mother attempted to bring Craster to Castle Black, where his father would be, she was chased off. And that's all we know of his backstory. But this story isn't a very unique case. This is almost exactly how Mance Rayder was brought into the world, except his mother didn't try giving away her baby. She was a wildling raider who was caught by the Night's Watch and killed. Little Mance was a bit more fortunate and was taken in by the brothers, but it's not stated if they knew he was the son of one of them. We know the circumstances surrounding Craster's birth, and we get to check back with him moments before his death, but the rest is a mystery. Instead of spending the rest of his life in Whitetree, where his mother was from, Craster isolated himself in the haunted forest. Not the safest location in the world, but the vast amount of trees probably helped with the cold and wind. He built his primitive home on a small hill and even fenced it off with a gate. The men of the Night's Watch call it Craster's Keep in a joking manner because the place is anything but a keep. It's a roughly built, long hut with no rooms or windows, and the floor is just the dirt ground. They also refer to Craster as the master of his keep because of the way he treats everyone. His hostility and short temper make his already gross home a difficult place to stay, let alone all the pigs and dogs running everywhere. His reputation was horrible. Tywin said Craster was a kinslayer, liar, raper, and craven, and hinted that he trafficked with slavers and demons. And worse, the old forester would add, clacking his wooden teeth. There's a cold smell to that one, there is. And this is how Jon describes him in his introductory chapter. He looked to be a powerful man, though well into the winter of his days now. His mane of hair, grey going to white, a flat nose and drooping mouth gave him a cruel look, and one of his ears was missing, so this is a wildling. You would think Craster would grow up to hate the Night's Watch for how they treated him and his mother all those years ago, but this kind and loving man found it in his heart to forgive the crows. He would be their only true ally north of the wall, but ally is used loosely here. Well, there's also the three-eyed raven along with the children of the forest, but no one knows about them. He was very self-serving, and only provided the Night's Watch with information and shelter from the horrible cold because they could give him things no other wildling can get this side north of the wall, like castle-forged weapons and wine. Loyalty to his own wildling kind means nothing to a man this greedy and immoral. The only thing he cares about are his vices. The likely reason he isolates himself from the other wildlings is so he can practice his taboo incest-filled lifestyle. In his old age, he's up to 19 wives, the majority being his own daughters. My guess is he found one wife in his younger days, and the other 18 are incestuous marriages. His abusive ways probably forced her to go along with this, and anyone who touches one of his daughters or wives will lose their hand.
And I see this one staring too long. I might just gouge his eyes out.
We don't spend a lot of time with Craster, but we do know one of his wives, named Fernie, is described as being old by Sam. I think it's safe to assume this was his first wife. Fernie pleads with Sam to take Gilly away from Craster's keep. Gilly is one of his younger daughter wives, and Craster impregnated her. Before her child was born, Gilly asked Jon to take her with him, even offering to be his wife. In her desperation, she explains to Jon that Craster sacrifices all his newborn sons to the cold gods. But Fernie does call the White Walkers Gilly's baby's brothers. Another one of his wives, named Nella, has had 6 sons, all sacrificed. But she also says something very interesting. If Craster has no son to offer, he will give up one of his sheep and next his dogs. This was not mentioned in the show. That scene where the Night King changes one of Craster's babies to a White Walker never happened in the books. There might not even be a Night King in the books. This whole scene might be something we find out in the next book, and George Martin just told the show writers to add this scene in since he was heavily involved in Game of Thrones during the first 4 seasons. Why would the White Walkers settle for animals though? Maybe they eat like the rest of us, because having sheep a part of their dead army wouldn't be all that beneficial. George Martin might be waiting to add this scene during a Bran POV chapter using his green sight. All of the book chapters are in the point of view of specific characters, so since none of the White Walkers or Whites are going to have a chapter written from their perspective, we'll need Bran to share this information with us. Lord Commander Jorah Mormont does bring up that every wildling village has been deserted, and he offers everyone in Craster's keep safe passage to the wall. But Craster declines. A small hut full of warm bodies would be an easy target for the White Walkers, but they got a little trade agreement going on. Craster and his wives will be spared from their attacks if he provides sacrifices. This psychopath probably had no need for sons anyways. He might see them as competition and more mouths to feed. A younger, stronger son could easily overpower him and put an end to his abuse. It's possible he's been making these sacrifices to his cold gods for 30 to 40 years. Jon does describe him as a powerful looking man, so the bulk of the White Walkers could be his offspring. I just wonder what happened to the specific baby that got turned in Game of Thrones. Did the Night King magically age him, or do they have to wait 14 years for the child to be battle ready? Life isn't always fair in this story. Craster managed to live a long life, doing whatever the hell his sick mind wanted, until he was cut down during the mutiny. His daughter wives were forcibly held by the Night's Watch deserters, who killed their father, until they too were taken out. If that Long Night prequel that everyone's been calling Blood Moon ever gets picked up by HBO, maybe it will answer how the blue-eyed babies age. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching.